What up, athletes? Whoop, whoop. All right, let's get into this. This is 1.4, the distributive property. Go ahead and write down your learning target, which is I will simplify problems using the distributive property. Whoa, good times. Take a minute, go ahead, work out these warm-up problems, and we'll talk in just a minute. Some of them are a little challenging, kind of. Okay, I'm going to assume you pause this. I'm going to start working it out, and that's the theme of the game. Anytime I have you work out a problem, just pause it, work it out, and we'll get back to it. So order of operations, this goes first. That's 10. 4 plus 3 is 7 plus 10 equals 17. Boom. All right, so let's do number 2. So I'm looking at this. I'm actually going to go ahead and say, let's write equals 7/30. We're actually going to prove and see if this is true. Does this really equal 7/30? So don't forget, we got to divide by a fraction, we got to multiply by its reciprocal. So I'm going to rewrite this as 2/5 minus 1/10 times 5/3 equals 7/30. Boom. Now let's look. All right. What goes into both 5 and 10? Well, 5 does. 5 goes into 5 once, goes into 10 twice. So now I'm left with 2/5 minus, let's see, 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 3 is 6, equals 7/30. Now I want to do some fraction buster time. Are you guys ready for this? I want to get rid of these fractions. Let's make sure this is a true story. What number can I multiply through that gets rid of 5, 6, and 30? Well, it turns out it's 30. So when I multiply that through, boom. Remember, we can think of it as over 1, and I'm just going to write times 30 by each one. And 5 goes into 5 once, goes into 36 times. 6 times 2 is 12, so I'm left with 12. Minus 6 goes into 6 once, goes into 35 times. 5 times 1 is 5. And 30s cancel out, so I'm left with 7. And let's check this out. 12 minus 7. 5 is 7, equals 7. Is that a true statement? Yes, it is. So this one's a little different, but this is how we would do a check to make sure something's true. If you come off the true statement, it's true. Awesome. Let's go on to the next one. Oops. Sorry, I'm grabbing the screen there. All right, guys. Hopefully it didn't take up as much room as I did, so we can get to the vocab here in just a minute. But let's go ahead and work number 3. So this is just 4 squared is 16. Got to do the parentheses first. 25 minus 16 is 9 times 3 plus 2. 9 times 3 is 27 plus 2 equals 29. Boom. And our last one, hey, just because we have parentheses right here, let's do each of them separately. 3 squared is 9. 3 squared is 9. 16 minus 9 is 7, plus 2 plus 9 is 11, which makes 18. Boom. Okay, I had to hide a little bit of that work. Apologize if you need a sticky note. Do what you got to do. Write down your vocab. The coefficient is the number in front of the variable. So we have 3x to the 4th power. There should be a 4 right there. Sorry, I got a little cut off. 3x to the 4th power. It's the 3 is the coefficient. Like terms are terms with the same variables having the same exponent. So 3x plus 2x is 5x because they both have an x, and it's just to the 1st power, even though we don't see that power, it's the 1st power. 3x plus 2x squared are not like terms because x and x squared are not like. Now, in the same way, equivalent expressions are expressions that represent the same values. Okay? So keep that in mind. All right. Let's go ahead and look right here. Take a minute, just pause this if you need to. By the way, pause it if you need to write those down if I didn't leave those long enough. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to look up here at the distributive property. Again, pause this, write it down. We're just saying if you have a number of times numbers in parentheses, it distributes. So A times B plus C is AB plus AC. The A is on the other side, same deal. We see here in the numbers, what's going on here? We'd all say 9 plus 3 is 12, and 4 times 12 is 48. That's fine. But I want to talk about distribution. We're going to do it this way so that when it's easy, so that when we add in variables and it's a little challenging, you understand what's going on. So I'm going to do that. 4 times 9 is 4 times 9, and then the 4 times 3. 4 times 9 is 36. 4 times 3 is 12. We add those together and get 48. See how they turn out to be the same thing? And it works out the same for the subtraction as well. So just keep that in mind. All right. There's one piece of information that you're going to need over here. A hot air balloon pilot gives 9 adults and 3 children a ride on Saturday. Write and evaluate the expression to describe the pilot's income for the day. It is important to note that it is $200 per person. So I need to add together the amount of people. So it says there's 9 adults and 3 children. Now I'm going to do this as a distribution problem. Just watch me. We're doing this to teach distribution. So I would have 200 times 9 plus 3. Again, I know we would normally in our head add that together, say 12, multiply it. I'm doing this on purpose to show you so that when we add variables into the mix, you know the form to write it in. So again, this would equal what? 200 times 9 plus 200 times 3. And yes, some of you are thinking it's just 200 times 12, Mr. Tim. I know. Go ahead, test it. It's going to work the same. And what do I end up with? This equals $1,800 plus $600, which equals $2,400. So the pilot made $2,400, period. Word answers or word questions get a word answer. All right, it says use the distributive property to rewrite and evaluate each expression. I want to talk to you guys about mental math. Mental math. This is how I'm able to multiply. Like I can do this in my head, and that's what I'm teaching. We actually use the distributive property to do things in our head. So when I'm looking at 99, 99 is super close to 100. So what if instead I did this, not on a calculator, but I bet all of you know what 5 times 100 is. It's 500, right? And what do I have to do to make 199? Minus 1. So check this out. If I distribute this, this equals 500 minus 5. What's 500 minus 5? You can do that in your head. It's 495. See how I use the concept of distribution to help me do what could be a multiplication problem you can't do in your head to all of a sudden a pretty simple problem in your head. How about this one right here? Now, that 2 is closer to 1,000, so I'm actually going to separate this to be 4 times 1,000 plus 2. Because check this out. What's 4 times 1,000? It's 4,000. You can do that in your head. What's 4 times 2? It's 8 plus 8, which equals 4,008. That's how I do that in my head. I do this all the time. I always separate the numbers and ask you guys to multiply separately than add together. Some of you will remember me doing that. How about right here? Well, I'm going to have 44 times 2 plus 1/2. When I distribute that, 44 times 2 is 88. Half of 44 is plus 22. I know that 2 plus 8 is 9, makes that 90. And then 90 plus 20 is 110. That's how I do the mental math, guys. Now this one could be a little more challenging. Notice the 7's on the other side, so I'm just going to go, all right, let's do 60 minus 2, since 58 is closer to 60. And then times 7. Well, 7 times 60, that might be hard for you. What's 7 times 6, though? It's 42. Add a 0. So this just equals 420 minus, and then 7 times 2 is 14. And 20 minus 14 is 6, so I just have 406. Again, this is how I do mental math. What about when it's a 3-digit number? Well, separate it. It's going to be 3 times 100 plus 20 plus 4, which is going to be 300 plus 60 plus 12. 360, 60 plus 12, let's do that first. 60 plus 12 is 72, 372. I know some of you are like, Mr. Tim, you said work it left to right. Okay, do it. Sometimes I make it easy on myself, though. That's mental math, and that's how we use distribution to help us out. An argument could be made to round that up to 125, but that would add an extra minus whatever in here, and I didn't want to do that. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. We're going to go to look at 6a squared plus 4a squared plus 2a. What are the coefficients that are shown here? Well, we have the coefficients 6. Remember, the coefficients are the numbers in front of the variable. 6, 4, and 2. What are like terms? Well, 6a squared and 4a squared, because they both have a's to the second power. What's the simplest form? Well, if I combine those together, I get 10a squared plus 2a. That's the simplest form. Boom. Moving on to the back side. Now we're going to just have quite a bit of practice, but I want to talk to you guys about using reverse distribution. Now you may think, why would I ever need to reverse it? There will come a time. So what we're about to do, guys, does not help us with these problems, but it is practicing the concept of reverse distribution, which you will do at times to greatly simplify equations. When I reverse distribute, I say what goes into both these. So first I look at the coefficients, 6 and 2. What number goes into both 6 and 2? Well, 2 does, so I'm going to pull a 2 out. Look at the variables. Do they have a variable in common? X. So I'm going to pull an x out. And check this out. 6x divided by 2x just leaves me with 3. How do I know that? Well, 3 times 2x is 6x. And there's a plus in the middle. 2x divided by 2x is just 1. So I'm left with 2x times 3 plus 1. Okay? That is reverse distribution. And just so you know it works, what's 3 plus 1? It's 4. 4 times 2x is 8x. I could combine these. These are like terms to combine to 8x. They're the same thing. So I want to make sure you understand. This is reverse distribution. You just want to reverse distribute it. We don't need to solve and go beyond that. Let's reverse distribute this. We're going to look at the 2 digits. All right? What can I pull out of 20 and 2? Well, I can pull a 2 out. Do they both have a variable in common? Nope. So now I'm just left with 20 divided by 2 is 10x minus 2 divided by 2 is 1. Boom. How about this one right here? Look at 4 and 8, the coefficients. 4 and 8, a 4 can go out of there. And they both have an x in common, so I can pull an x out. 4x divided by 4x is just 1 minus, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. X divided by x is 1, so I'm just left with 1 minus 2. Again, we're just leaving it here, guys. Last but not least, let's look at this one right here. Look at the coefficients, nothing in common. But they both have x's. Now this has x squared, which remember, x squared is equal to x times x. So I can pull one of those x's out. And watch what happens. When I take one of the x's out of x squared, I'm left with just an x. So this is going to be 2x. When I take that x out of here, I'm just left with minus 3. That is reverse distribution. Okay. All right, let's move on. We're getting close to being done. This one, practice distribution. Why don't you try it? Distribute these. This is what I mean. Now we're distributing it with variables. Take a minute, pause this, try it out. We'll finish up. Okay. Boom. Boom. Feel free to write that step that says 7 times 3w minus 7 times 5, but you do not have to, okay? I'm fine with you just distributing. 7 times 3w, well, 7 times 3 is 21, so 21w minus 35. Boosh, there we go. Right here, guys, cross out the 2. That's not supposed to be there. It should be corrected for the newer versions of this, so you should be good online, but for those that get a different copy, there we go. Even if it's on this side, doesn't matter. We're still just distributing. And this would be 6 times 3 is 18y squared. 6 times positive y is plus 6y. Minus 6 times 8 is 48. And same deal here. It's just on the other side. It really doesn't make a difference. 5 times 2g squared is 10g squared. Plus 5 times 9 is 45g. And then a minus 5 times 3 is 15. This last deal I want to do here is combining like terms. Remember, like terms got to have the same variable with the same power, and they do. 14a plus 18a is just going to be 32a. How about here? the b's match. Okay, so what's 9b minus 3b? That's 6b. So this is 4b squared minus 6b. Right here, now we got a tough problem. Take a minute, pause it, see if you can tackle it. I'll take a drink of coffee. Awesome. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to distribute, and I'm going to end up with 6x plus 9y. Now, this one's a little different because I'm going to distribute not only the 2, but I got to distribute the negative in front of it. So what's negative 2 times positive 4x? Well, that's negative 8x. Negative times negative is a positive. 2 times y is plus 2y. Now let's combine like terms. I like to go alphabetical. 6x, and again, I got to take the sign in front of it, negative 8x. 6x minus 8x is negative 2x. I have 9y plus 2y plus 11y. Boom. And that is your simplified version. We can all agree that this is much simpler to look at than this up here. Okay, that's it. That's distribution. Combining like terms, all the good stuff. Let's get ready to do this. Peace out.